They told you reading is a habit, something soft, something optional, something you do when you have time, but they lied because the books that truly matter, ones that challenge your mind, are not comfort, they are confrontation. Robert Greene once wrote that power begins with seeing reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, and nothing forces you to face reality more brutally than a book that disagrees with you. Think about it. Most people don't read to grow. They read to feel right. They read what confirms their beliefs, protects their ego, and keeps their fragile identity intact. But you're not here to feel comfortable. You're here to evolve. Because every time you open a book that challenges your thinking, you are stepping into a silent battlefield, a battlefield where your ideas are questioned, your assumptions are attacked, and your mental limits are exposed. And in that moment, you have a choice: close the book and protect your ego, or keep reading and destroy the weaker version of your mind. Understand this. Growth is not found in agreement. Growth is born in resistance. The ideas that irritate you, perspectives that make you uncomfortable, truths that shake your confidence, those are not your enemies, they are your teachers. Because a mind that is never challenged becomes a mind that is easily controlled, but a mind that learns to endure discomfort, to question itself, to adapt, to expand, to rebuild, that mind becomes dangerous. So if you truly want power, if you truly want to rise above the average, stop reading what is easy and start reading what forces you to think harder, deeper, and differently than ever before. Because in the end, books that challenge your mind are the ones that build it. There is a quiet danger that most people never recognize. It doesn't come from failure. It doesn't come from rejection. It doesn't even come from a lack of opportunity. It comes from a mind that has stopped being challenged, a mind that feeds only on what is familiar, what is comfortable, what is easy to accept. And slowly, without noise, without warning, that mind becomes weak. You see, the world doesn't reward comfort. It rewards sharpness, awareness, depth. But here's the truth most people avoid. Reading alone will not make you powerful, because not all reading is growth. Some books are nothing more than mental entertainment. They make you feel good. They agree with you. They protect your current beliefs. And that's exactly why they are dangerous. Because every time you read something that simply confirms what you already think, you are not expanding your mind, you are trapping it. You are building invisible walls around your intelligence. And the worst part, you won't even realize it's happening. That's why the books that challenge you, ones that make you uncomfortable, ones that force you to pause and think, do I really believe this? Those are the books that matter. Those are the books that transform you, because real growth begins the moment your mind is forced into conflict. When an idea clashes with your beliefs, your brain has two options: reject it instantly and stay the same, or sit with the discomfort, question yourself, and evolve. But evolution is painful. It requires you to admit that you were wrong. It requires you to let go of ideas you once defended. It requires you to rebuild your thinking from the ground up. And most people are not willing to do that. They would rather stay certain than become intelligent. They would rather protect their ego than expand their mind. But if you're listening to this, you are different, because something inside you understands that comfort is a trap, that easy thinking leads to average results, and that the only way to rise above the ordinary is to think differently than the ordinary. So let me tell you something most people will never hear. If a book does not challenge you, it does not change you. If a book does not disturb your thinking, it is not developing you. If a book does not force you to question your reality, it is not preparing you for the real world, because the real world is not soft. It is unpredictable, competitive, ruthless. And if your mind is not trained to handle complexity, contradiction, and discomfort, you will break under pressure. That's why you must deliberately seek out ideas that go against your nature. Read perspectives that make you uncomfortable. Study opinions that challenge your identity. Dive into concepts that feel too complex, too heavy, too difficult, because that is where your next level is hidden. not in what you already understand, in what you are afraid to understand. Think about it. Every powerful thinker in history was misunderstood at first. Every breakthrough idea sounded wrong before it sounded right. And every person who achieved something extraordinary had to first destroy the limits of their own thinking. That is the power of challenging your mind. It forces you to see beyond your current reality. It breaks the illusion that your perspective is the only perspective. It humbles you, sharpens you, transforms you, but it only works if you are honest with yourself, because reading a difficult book is not enough. You have to engage with it. You have to question it. You have to wrestle with it. There will be moments when you feel frustrated, moments when you don't understand, moments when you feel like giving up. Good. That's the point. Because struggle is the signal that your mind is growing, confusion is the beginning of clarity, and resistance is the gateway to transformation. So the next time you pick up a book, don't ask yourself, is this easy to read? Ask yourself, will this challenge me? Don't look for comfort, look for confrontation. Don't search for agreement, mitch for truth, because in the end, the goal is not to read more books. The goal is to become a person who thinks deeper, sees clearer, and understands the world on a level most people never reach. And that journey, it begins the moment you choose discomfort over ease. The moment you decide that your growth is more important than your ego, the moment you open a book, not to escape reality, but to face it. This is part one of your transformation. And it starts with a simple decision. Stop feeding your mind what it wants and start giving it what it needs. There is a moment, subtle, almost invisible, where the average mind gives up. It doesn't look dramatic. There is no loud failure, no public collapse, just a quiet decision. This is too difficult. I'll come back to it later. But later never comes. And in that single moment, growth is lost, because what you must understand is this: the books that challenge your mind are not designed to entertain you. They are designed to expose you, expose your limits, expose your ignorance, expose the gaps in your thinking that you've been avoiding your entire life. And that exposure, it feels uncomfortable. It feels like pressure, like your brain is resisting, like something inside you is pushing back, that something is your old identity. The version of you that wants to stay safe, predictable, unchanged, and it will fight. It will whisper excuses. This author is wrong. This is too complicated. This doesn't apply to me. But look deeper. Those are not truths. They are defenses, because your mind, like your body, resists stress, and just like muscles only grow when they are pushed beyond comfort, your intelligence only expands when it is stretched beyond familiarity. So when a book confuses you, don't step back, lean in. When a concept feels too complex, don't avoid it, break it down. When an idea challenges your beliefs, don't reject it, investigate it. Because every difficult page you struggle through is building a sharper, stronger, more dangerous version of your mind. This is where most people separate, not by talent, not by opportunity, but by their relationship with difficulty. The weak mind seeks clarity before effort. The strong mind accepts confusion as part of the process. The weak mind quits when it feels overwhelmed. The strong mind stays and figures it out. And over time, that difference becomes everything, because here's what no one tells you. Reading challenging books is not just about knowledge. It's about discipline, mental discipline, the ability to sit with something you don't fully understand and refuse to walk away, the ability to focus deeply without distraction in a world designed to destroy your attention, the ability to think for yourself instead of blindly accepting what is easy. And in today's world, that is power, because most people are losing their ability to think deeply. They scroll, they skim. They consume information in fragments, quick, shallow, forgettable. But depth is rare, and rarity creates value. So when you train your mind to go deep, to wrestle with ideas, to stay focused on complexity, you are developing a skill that puts you ahead of almost everyone around you. But let me warn you, this path is not easy. There will be days when your mind feels tired, days when you read the same page 5 times and still don't fully understand it, days when you question whether it's even worth it. And that's exactly where the transformation happens. Not when it's easy, but when it's hard. And you continue anyway, because every time you push through that resistance, you are sending a message to yourself. I do not quit when things get difficult. And that message, repeated over time, becomes your identity. A reader who doesn't just consume, but masters. A thinker who doesn't just accept, but questions. A mind that doesn't just exist, but evolves. Now understand this. Not every challenging book will give you immediate results. Some ideas will take days, weeks, even years to fully understand. Some lessons will only make sense when life forces you to apply them. But that's the beauty of it, because when you read deeply, when you truly engage with complex ideas, you are planting seeds, seeds that grow silently, seeds that shape your decisions, your perspective, your awareness, until one day, without realizing it, you begin to think differently. You see patterns others miss. You understand situations others misunderstand. You remain calm where others panic. And people will look at you and wonder what changed. They won't see the hours you spent struggling with difficult ideas. They won't see the mental battles you fought alone with nothing but a book in your thoughts. But you will know, because you built it page by page, thought by thought, struggle by struggle. So the next time you feel that urge to quit, that voice telling you, this is too much, pause and ask yourself, is this actually too difficult? Or is this just the moment where growth begins? Because the truth is, most people don't fail because they are incapable. They fail because they avoid the very things that would make them capable. And challenging books, they are one of those things. They demand more from you, more focus, more patience, more effort, but in return, they give you something rare, a mind that is not easily influenced, a perspective that is not easily shaken, a level of thinking that most people will never reach. And once you have that, everything changes, because the world may still be chaotic, but your mind becomes controlled, sharp, unbreakable, and that is a level of power that no one can take from you. This is part 2 of your transformation. And now the question is simple. Will you continue when it gets hard, or will you become like everyone else and stop? There comes a point in this journey where something shifts. It's no longer about forcing yourself to read difficult books. It's no longer about discipline alone or pushing through resistance. It becomes something deeper, a transformation of identity. Because once you have spent enough time confronting ideas that challenge you, once you have sat in confusion long enough, struggled long enough, questioned yourself deeply enough, you begin to realize something most people never understand. The real battle was never with the book, it was with yourself, your impatience, your ego, your need to always feel right, your fear of being wrong. And as you continue to read, not casually, but intentionally, those parts of you begin to break slowly, silently, powerfully. You start to notice that you no longer react the same way. Where you once rejected ideas instantly, now you pause. Where you once felt attacked by opposing views, now you become curious. Where you once avoided complexity, now you are drawn to it. This is growth, not loud, not visible, but undeniable, because your mind is no longer fragile. It has been tested, strengthened, refined, and with that comes a new level of awareness. You begin to see how limited most conversations are, how people repeat ideas they have never questioned, how opinions are formed without depth, how easily minds are influenced, controlled, manipulated. And instead of feeling superior, you feel alert, because you understand how easy it is to fall back into that state. You understand that without constant challenge, even a strong mind can become weak again. That is why this is not a one-time effort. This is a lifestyle, a commitment to never letting your mind become lazy, a decision to continuously expose yourself to ideas that stretch you, because the moment you stop challenging your thinking, you start declining, not immediately, but gradually. And that's how most people lose their edge. Not through failure, through comfort. They reach a level of understanding and they stop. They believe they know enough. They surround themselves with familiar ideas, familiar opinions, familiar people. And without realizing it, they begin to shrink, but you You cannot afford that because now you've seen what growth feels like. You've experienced the power of expanding your thinking. You've realized that there is always another level, another perspective, another layer of understanding waiting to be uncovered. And once you taste that, comfort becomes boring, superficial thinking becomes frustrating. Shallow conversations become exhausting because your mind now craves depth, it seeks challenge, it demands evolution. But let me tell you something important. With this level of awareness comes responsibility, because knowledge without application is wasted. It's easy to read powerful ideas. It's easy to feel inspired. But the real question is, will you live differently because of what you've learned? Will you make better decisions? Will you think before reacting? Will you question situations instead of blindly accepting them? Because if you don't, then all those challenging books, all that effort, all that mental struggle, it becomes meaningless. True power is not in what you know. It is in how you think and how you act because of that thinking. So start applying what you read when you encounter a difficult situation. Pause and analyze it. When you feel emotional, step back and question why. When you hear an opinion, don't accept it immediately. Examine it, because this is where your reading becomes real. This is where your mind moves from theory to mastery. And understand this, the more you apply what you learn, the sharper you become, the more you question, the clearer you see, the more you think deeply, the less you are controlled by shallow influences. Until eventually you reach a point where your mind operates on a completely different level, a level where you are not easily manipulated, not easily distracted, not easily shaken. You become focused, intentional, dangerous in the way you think and in the way you move through the world, and people will notice. They will feel something different about you. They may not be able to explain it, but they will sense your clarity, your calmness, your depth, because while they are reacting, you are analyzing. While they are following, you are thinking. While they are comfortable, you are evolving. And that difference, it will separate you, not just in knowledge, but in life. So never stop seeking books that challenge you. Never stop questioning what you believe. Never stop pushing your mind beyond its limits. Because the moment you do, you go back to being average, and average is crowded, average is predictable, average is forgettable. But a mind that is constantly challenged, constantly evolving, constantly expanding, that mind becomes rare, and rare is powerful. This is part 3 of your transformation. Now, you are no longer just reading to grow. You are becoming someone who cannot be easily shaped by the world, someone who thinks independently, someone who sees clearly, someone who moves with purpose. And from here, there is no going back, only forward, deeper, stronger, smarter, until the version of you that once avoided difficulty becomes someone who seeks it, because now you understand. The challenge was never the obstacle, it was the path. Now you've reached a level most people never will, not because you read more books, because you allowed those books to change you. And this is where the final shift happens. Because up until now, you were learning how to challenge your mind, but from this point forward, your mind becomes the one that challenges everything else. You no longer move through life passively. You don't just accept information, you dissect it. You don't just hear opinions, you analyze them. You don't just react to situations, you understand them. And that changes everything, because the world is full of noise. Endless opinions, endless distractions, endless influences trying to shape how you think, how you feel, how you act. And most people, they get lost in it. They follow trends without questioning them. They adopt beliefs without examining them. They react emotionally without understanding why. But you've trained your mind differently. Through every difficult book you read, every idea you struggled to understand, every moment you chose growth over comfort, you built something rare: mental independence, the ability to stand in the middle of chaos and still think clearly, the ability to hear 10 different perspectives and not lose your own, the ability to face pressure, uncertainty, even fear, and remain in control. This is what challenging your mind was preparing you for, not just knowledge, but control, because when you can control how you think, you can control how you act, and when you control your actions, you begin to control your life. But let's go deeper, because there's another level that very few people reach, a level where you don't just understand the world, you start to see through it. You begin to recognize patterns. You notice how people behave under pressure, how decisions are made, how influence works. You start to see the hidden structures behind everything, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. You realize that most actions are predictable, most reactions are emotional, most systems are designed to keep people thinking in a certain way. And that realization, it gives you an advantage, because while others are being influenced, you are observing while others are reacting, you are calculating while others are overwhelmed, you are aware. This is the power of a trained mind. But with great awareness comes a new danger, overconfidence, the belief that because you see more, you know everything, and that can destroy everything you've built. Because the moment you think you've mastered thinking, you stop growing, you stop questioning, you stop challenging yourself, and slowly you fall back into the same trap you once escaped. That's why the final lesson is this: never believe you are finished. No matter how much you learn, there is always more you don't know. No matter how sharp your thinking becomes, it can always become sharper. No matter how aware you are, there are always blind spots you cannot see. And the only way to stay powerful is to remain a student forever. Keep reading books that challenge you. Keep exposing yourself to uncomfortable ideas. Keep questioning your own thinking again and again, because true intelligence is not static. It is alive, it evolves, it adapts. And the moment it stops doing that, it dies. So stay in motion mentally, constantly learning, constantly adjusting, constantly refining, because that is how you maintain your edge in a world that is always changing. Now look back for a moment at who you were before this journey began, someone who may have avoided difficulty, someone who preferred easy answers, someone who read to feel good, not to grow, and compare that to who you are now, someone who seeks challenge, someone who questions deeply, someone who is no longer afraid of complexity, but drawn to it. That transformation, it didn't happen overnight. It happened through effort, through struggle, through discipline, through every page you refuse to quit on. And that is something no one can take from you because you earned it. Now, the final question is not whether you can grow. You already proved that you can. The final question is, will you continue? Will you keep pushing your mind even when it's uncomfortable? Will you keep seeking truth even when it challenges you? Will you keep evolving even when it's difficult? Because the path you are on, it has no finish line. Only higher levels, deeper understanding, greater awareness. And the further you go, the more separated you become from the average, not in arrogance, but in clarity, in discipline, in the way you see and move through the world. And that separation, it will show in everything you do. Your decisions will become